Hi everyone, welcome once again to my channel. This is Intuitive Edge, where we take an intuitive look at what's going on in our world. These are just my thoughts and opinions, so if something doesn't resonate, that's fine. Take what you want and leave the rest. Part of what I do as an intuitive is I look at patterns and see if there are repeating patterns, things that kind of go together and click that maybe aren't quite understood, perhaps in the news or in the real world, out in the world. There are things that happen that we think are abstract or unrelated. And as an intuitive, I like to try to tune in and see if there are things that are setting up a pattern, if there are clues that kind of clue me in to say, this might be related to that. Okay, what am I talking about? Well, I've been following the story surrounding Charlie Kirk. I haven't done a lot of videos on it, wanting to kind of just test the waters and feel what is really going on with that. I do think intuitively that there is a lot more than what looks to be on the surface with what happened to Charlie. I don't think it was a random young kid that got a 1 in a million shot with the official story just doesn't smell right to me for a variety of reasons. But there have been little clues that have been happening that seem kind of unrelated to what's happened with Charlie Kirk, and yet it's related. It feels like there's a connection. And that is the 2028 election. So let's talk about it. We all know recent history, what happened. September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk, the head of TPUSA, was gunned down, assassinated in broad daylight in front of the world. And the aftermath from that has been a fallout of epic proportions. What I think was meant to happen is that there would have been so much sympathy for the widow and this wonderful legacy that Charlie Kirk left. This empire that he built. And she stepped into his role right away. But then people started kind of wondering, wait a minute, hold on, something doesn't smell right. This is not passing the sniff test. There's too much, too fast. And it's basically just Charlie Kirk's gone, move on. And a lot of people weren't sitting well with that. So the clues that I started putting together regarding the 2028 election and how this is shaping up to be something. There was on one of the podcasts of I believe it was the Charlie Kirk show, there's a clip of, I believe, Andrew Colvett, maybe Blake Neff, and I think one other person. And they were talking about Erica Kirk and how, they had full faith and confidence in her. This was, I think, a few months after Charlie passed. That she was, they couldn't think of a better person to lead TPUSA. And that, she was, they could even see her in a vice presidential role. That she was that competent. So out of the blue, they're talking about vice presidential role and that they felt full confidence in her. To me, I'm like, that kind of set my little spidey sense off, going, why are they even saying that? We're talking about somebody who just assumed the CEO position of this big company, and you're talking vice president. That seems unrelated. It's almost like my spidey sense said, are they seeding public knowledge or opinion? Are they throwing that out there to let it settle in the back of the minds of people? Oh, okay. She's taking on this role. She can handle being vice president too. It felt like it was done purposefully to seed that into the consciousness of the people. Then in March of 2026, President Donald Trump appointed Erica Kirk to, I have it over here, the U.S. Air Force Academy Board of Visitors. Now, this was something that Charlie Kirk was appointed to. So Erica, again, filling his role, which you may think, oh, that just seems natural. Charlie Kirk was in that role. Why not give that to Erica? To me, it feels like strategic placement, putting her more visible, giving her this more credibility, this extra role that could be seen as good on a resume for someone wanting to be vice president. It's possible. This role, according to ChatGPT, is a federal advisory board that oversees aspects of the Air Force Academy and provides recommendations to the President and the Secretary of Defense. So it's not a little position. This board is part of recommendations to Pete Hegseth. He's still in that position as of this video, and the President. So not a small thing. Again, this feels like we're propping Erica up. So then let's talk about what happened at the Correspondents' Dinner on April 25th. As you know, the story again of a crazed gunman opens fire at the Correspondents' Dinner and chaos ensues. And who happened to be there? Erica Kirk. Now, recently, Erica Kirk was supposed to speak at a TPUSA event in Georgia, and she mysteriously at the last minute canceled, citing that she had concerns for her security. She'd been receiving threats. Well, interestingly enough, a lot of people pushed back on that notion that somehow her security was at stake because the Vice President of the United States was there. And so if anything is going to be secure, it's going to be when the Secret Service is sweeping the area because the Vice President's going to be there. There couldn't be a more safe place to be, right? Was that the real reason? Some sleuths did some digging and found out Erica was in the area. She just didn't want to show. And the crowd was very, very small. People are speculating that that's the reason she didn't want to show up and speak to a very small crowd when they were hoping and anticipating for a lot more based on the arena size that they had secured for the event. So with that, I wondered, is there a connection between Erica showing up at the Correspondents' Dinner where there's a shooter, and she had just said, I don't feel safe at an event because I've been having threats. And then there's this dramatic video of Erica Kirk walking out at the Correspondents' Dinner, crying and upset. But my spidey sense just would not leave it alone. Is there a connection? Did Erica Kirk get invited to the Correspondents' Dinner? If the event was staged, and I'm not saying it was, if it was staged, did they bring Erica Kirk there to give her a boost or lend credence to her assertions that, yes, she is under threat? And here's this perfect example. I didn't show up at Georgia. She got a lot of flack for that. Oh, but then magically she shows up at a place where there's a shooting to reinforce the notion that there's a threat. So at every turn, and this is just me with my spidey sense, saying at every turn, she's being propped up. She's being given a leg up. She's being shown that she's either a victim, she's got all these threats, she's someone who is in the spotlight more and more in ways that are meant to garner sympathy for her. Have you noticed? So when she is shown crying and all of what's happened to her, this victim story of the grieving widow, that is all coming together to paint this narrative of propping this person up. Then we find out 2 days after Charlie Kirk was unalived, assassinated, somebody bought a domain for a website, Vance-Kirk2028.com. Now, a lot of people had said in the past that Charlie Kirk was presidential material, that he could be president someday. He could lead a crowd. He was very engaging. He could handle himself in debates very well. And people saw presidential material in him. So this Vance-Kirk being purchased after his death couldn't have been purchased because somebody was thinking of putting Charlie Kirk on the ticket. So that seems a little suspicious that close to his death. The timing of it is a little weird. But with all of these pieces, okay, they're very abstract. All of these pieces that I've mentioned, the timing of everything, the Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett talking about how wonderful Erica Kirk is and she could be vice president someday. And then, you know, her proximity to J.D. Vance and the infamous hug. Many of you may have remembered that with Erica Vance, oh my God. With J.D. Vance and Erica Kirk at Charlie's funeral. There are little pieces that I'm connecting dots to. So I decided to do a tarot on it. And I want to show you these cards because this solidified it for me. That there is a connection, that Erica Kirk is being propped up, and that it is a very real possibility that at least at this point in time, the Vance-Kirk 2028 is moving forward, and that is the plan. I believe that is the plan. Now, a lot could happen between now and 2027 when they start ramping up the presidential election cycle. A lot could happen. That could change. Plans could change. They could abandon that ticket. But right now, as I see it, that's the plan. So I'm going to show you my cards and you tell me what you think. Okay, first card out was the Lover's card in this spread. The Lover's card is a card of strategic partnership. Strategic partnership. It's more than just, you know, husband, wife, or girlfriend, boyfriend, or this is coming together for a strategic purpose. And it's crossed by a messenger. Messenger tells me, there's more to this story. And this page adds a little bit of something, a little bit fishy, a little suspicious about it. There's something not quite on the up and up about it. Something secretive. Up top, this is the card of the 10 of Cups. This is absolute success. This is crowning it. This is something that is very much desired, very much wanted, very much hoped for. It's a fulfillment. This is the card underneath. The Page of Wands, also a messenger. This is a messenger about taking action. And this is what's leading up to this strategic partnership. This tells me that action has been taken to move something forward in a little bit of a kind of a hidden way. It's not outwardly overt. Queen of Cups in the background. Couldn't help but think that is representing Erica. Moving through this strategic partnership and into the Death card. Now, Death card in tarot means major, big change and transformation. So Erica, represented by the Queen, moving through this partnership equals big change for her. Okay. We have the Seven of Swords. Interesting, we have 2 sevens on this. So this is on Erica. This is like you can't just come out and say, hey, I want to be vice president. This is about walking through something very delicately, very tricky, and being very cautious and careful in how you say things, in maybe not saying things. Then we have the 7 of Pentacles, a card of review, a card of looking over. And interesting that this crow is up in this nest. The artwork suggesting building a nest, building something, and seeing what you've accomplished. on the environment around. Now, sorry for the darkness there. Okay. This card, the Star, this is on the position of what they're hoping for. And you have the card of hope on what you are hoping for. This is all coming together, that this is the culmination of what they are hoping for. Now, the outcome card, this is the 8 of Pentacles. This is working, hard work, putting a plan together and working on it. That is the outcome. They are working on this plan to move this forward. This is what they're hoping for. This was on the bottom of the deck, and this is the 3 of Pentacles. This is a card of planning, preparing, strategizing. All of this is crowning, strategizing is crowning all of this. Like underneath, all of this is about planning, strategizing, and it's pretty clear to me, based on all of this, that they are planning to run Erica Kirk and J.D. Vance on a presidential ticket. That is my best summation of all the little pieces that seem abstract or unrelated, but they're little clues. They're little pieces that come together for me that say there's a reason she's being propped up. There's a reason she's continually in the spotlight. There's a reason that all of this seems like there is a reason that she is being in this role, in the spotlight. All of it, everything is coming together for me. And I believe, it's my opinion, that is why they are wanting to run her as the president, vice president, with President J.D. Vance. Now, for those of you who may be jaded or cynical, that think that all of our leaders are already pre-selected and we just vote because they want us to think we have, there's some people that feel that. It could be. Because this is something that I think is in the works and being planned out. Will it happen? I'll leave that for you to decide. And there's a lot that could happen in the next year that could change things. So we'll have to see. Would you vote for Erica Kirk and J.D. Vance on the same ticket? Would you vote for that? I'm curious to know your thoughts. And what do you think of this? Am I pulling these pieces together that maybe don't make sense to you? Let me know that too. Or if it does make sense, let me know that too. I'm curious what you think. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. This has been Intuitive Edge. Bye for now.